Hi there, welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. This is episode 55, and I'm Carla.
And I'm Melanie.
And we have a special guest with us today. Today we are talking about couples date nights and how we could make a date night, possibly using games or just a fun way to have a date night. But before we get into that, Colin, can you tell everyone about yourself and what you do?
Hi there. Yeah, sure. My name's Colin Auschrat, registered psychologist and couples counselor and co-owner of Auschrat Counseling Online. I run that with my wife, who is also a psychologist. She does counseling and testing and assessment. I focus on clients' relationships, namely clients struggling with getting the relationship where they want it to be, getting what they want out of their relationship, clients struggling with neurodiversity, ADHD, trauma, addictions, affairs, abuse. And I've been doing that for about 10 years now.
Wow.
That's
neat.
Yeah. Now, me and Colin have been in cahoots a little bit. So we do the game night, date night video series, and you're sponsoring that. And then I've been doing the game of the week also for you, because you utilize a lot of board games in your counseling, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I help couples see if they can pick a board game that they're going to learn a specific skill from, or it will help them not focus so intently on what's wrong with the relationship or what they're disappointed in, but rather fixate on the learning and fixate on the game. It gives them something that they can use to bond over. We also learn way, way, way faster when we're having fun than when we're just focusing and feeling miserable. So, yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great. So yeah, it's been great because we've been doing that for, a year as well, me and Colin. And me and Carla have been doing the podcast for about a year as well. So it's been a really neat, interesting journey, and I've really enjoyed doing both. But yeah, so that's great.
Awesome. So should we get right into what our topic is today?
Yeah.
Why don't we start with you, Mel, and then
betcha.
Colin can talk after you. What is your first idea for a good date night?
Yeah, so I'll just bring up, normally we do top 9s. This time, because there's 3 of us, we're going to be doing top 5s. And I'm bringing up tips on how to make a game night more into a date night, and 5 different things that you can do. So my number 5, I have doing a themed night. A few times me and Lee will have where we watched a movie and then played a game that was the same theme, and kind of just do the entire day, the entire evening was themed on that. One time we watched, and it's always like we watched a movie and then we're like, oh, should we go play this game? Or we'll play a game and like, okay, now let's go watch this movie. So it's just been really neat. So one time we watched American Made, which is movie about this gentleman who kind of got roped into doing surveillance for the U.S. government, and then because of doing that got kind of roped into trafficking drugs for the Colombian cartel, and then we ended up playing the game Narcos, and I bought that at the auction at FallCon, and I don't know why, I'm really am a goody two-shoes, so this isn't a game that'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be right into this thing, but the movie was great, and then we ended up playing this game, and the game was great. One person plays as the Colombian cartel, and they're trying to kind of create these labs on these farmlands so that they can create cocaine, and then you move these coca bricks into a city that has an airport so you can kind of export them, and that's how they get money. But their location is secret, so all the other players, or the way we play just the 2 of us, then the other player is the DEA, and they're the Cali cartel, and they're the Colombian police, and they're trying to find where this person is and stop them. The game was so interesting. Yeah, the theme is questionable. I will agree to that. It's probably not everybody's cup of tea, mostly if you are into cup of teas, but it was a great night. And it's become a thing that we do. So doing like a full themed evening with movies and the games. How about you, Carla?
Cool.
What's your number 5?
Well, I'm a big fan of fitness and exercise, and I'm always trying to get my husband to join me because he's so busy working all the time. So I thought this summer what I would like to do, because I was just kind of looking into it, is we do like to hike and whatnot, but that we would do a hike, but we would do some geocaching, which is just going out. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. Mm-hmm. It kind of started, I think, almost 10 years ago, all over the world, I think. Like, I know it's all over Canada. But people place these little, they're like storm boxes, like they're indestructible boxes of just like little knickknacks in there, or like there's a paper that you would sign in there, or a book that you'd sign your name. Anyway, so you have the coordinates for these little things that are hidden all over in like forests and different places all over different cities in Canada. And you'll find out, okay, so like in Red Deer here, I can find coordinates for like these ones that are around here. So I will go and, find the coordinates, and we'll kind of hike around there. And then you kind of have to look, like it obviously won't give you the exact location, I believe. So then it will, you'll kind of go and look, and you'll find this, and you'll open it up, and there'll be all these different kinds of things, and you're supposed to leave a knickknack and take one and sign the thing saying that you've been here and you've done this. You kind of mark it off your little checklist. But you can do this all over Canada and the States, I believe, too, and maybe all over the world. It's just kind of a thing that you can do as a family, but I think as a couple it would be a really cool thing to do. And we can take our dog with us, too. He can play with us because we can walk him and try and find these little treasures that, are hidden all over the world. And apparently the oldest one in Canada is in Alberta here. I can't remember exactly which... It's in central Alberta. It's not in Red Deer, but it's maybe it's somewhere like out west or something, or not quite out west, but west central kind of. But yeah, I thought that would be a cool thing that we'll do in the summer. And then leave
D&D dice.
Yeah, I'll leave dice or like a little tiny paper game or something for people to play. But yeah, so that's my first idea. What about you, Colin? Do you have anything you could put together a date night?
Most of mine are based around communication and how to communicate. So the one that I'm going to throw past you is that I feel that building a board game night with your partner gives you the opportunity to develop an entirely new language and to learn some new skills for your relationship. So the one that I would use at this point is I would talk actually about Gary Chapman's 5 Languages of Love. And I use these in couples counseling all the time because they give couples a way to discuss what they like, what they really like, and what they could probably pass on. So I'm just going to skim through them really quickly. You can look this stuff up online. You can pick up one of Gary's books. He's written a lot of them, and they're all based around more or less the same theme. But with a quick Google search, you can find just about anything you need. So the 5 languages are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, gifts, and touch. So what I would suggest is work with your partner, understand what they like to see in a romantic night based on these things, and try to build it in. So for example, if your partner is a very high touch person, it means that you're probably not going to want a game like Gloomhaven, which is really, really focused. There isn't going to be a lot of time to hold hands. There isn't even going to be a lot of time to talk. If you don't focus on what you're doing, you're going to be playing until 3 or 4 in the morning. Yeah, absolutely. People get wiped out. It's just a nightmare. So you're going to aim for a game that's a little bit more of like a hand warmer kind of game. And I'm not kidding, like Uno, pick up sticks, jack straws, cribbage. These are all good games because you can play them in on almost any situation, and there's room to hold hands. There's room to rub feet against each other or to hug or to kiss, and it won't throw the game off. So if you're looking for some of the other ones, words of affirmation, you want to make sure that the game has room to talk and to say pleasant things back and forth. Now, the things to remember with your love languages is that any love language doubles as a hate language, which means a person who favors a specific language, if you deliver the opposite of it, you will almost certainly wound that person. What I would suggest, if you're with a partner who favors things such as words of affection and words of affirmation, if you're playing a take that kind of game, don't grandstand. Don't smack talk, even if it's playful. Better than average chance that person is going to take it personally. And this is a good opportunity for a couple to learn, to say, oh, I don't like it when you do that. Please don't. And the couple grows from that. That's why games create growth. Quality time, I think both of what you guys brought up there totally falls into that quality time category, because you're taking the time that the two people are spending together and you're making it memorable, you're making it special, and you're making it important to both people. So anybody who's into quality time, you're going to want to aim for that. Put the phones away, try to have a babysitter if you can, do whatever you can to make that time as important to both people as possible. Acts of service. Acts of service is another love language. It's often looked at as the least romantic out of the entire group. It's not. It's one of my favorites, actually. And again, there's lots of things that what Melanie brought up that I think would qualify wonderfully as an act of service. Put time into your theme. Put time into building something that's exciting for both people. Because an acts of service person, they're not looking for presents. They're not looking for touch. They're not looking for words. They see a person who puts effort into them as loving. And so the more you try, the more love they feel. If you tell them you're going to try and you forget, however, that will almost certainly wound them. So be careful with that one. Gifts is a neat one, and that builds into a board game night really easily, especially if you've done a theme. Just make sure that one part of your decoration or one part of your theme is something that your partner gets to carry away as a memento. And that's going to go over really, really splendidly. So try to learn to talk ahead of time. Try to come up with a good set of languages to discuss with. And the 5 languages of love double wonderfully for giving you a way to approach board game night.
That's
nice.
awesome.
I like that. Yeah.
I feel like we should be paying for this. We're getting all this.
You know what? We should charge for listening.
Aww.
This is awesome.
See, this is gold. The stuff you guys are getting this episode is
you guys are getting
amazing.
some free counseling here, because I've read that book when I was 20, I think, or I guess 25 when we first got married. A couple of years later, I did read that book, and I'm thinking now I had a different love language then than I do now. Is that strange?
Nope, they shift over time.
Yeah.
We also learn them. If we grow up in an environment where that particular love language is not readily available, we will pick one of the other ones, or we'll even learn not to recognize the one we really want. And then usually we'll go through the rest of our relationships trying to find that and try to develop it and trying to find a person who will help us with it.
Cool. That's awesome.
Nice.
All right. Mel, what about you? What's your number 4?
Number 4. So my number 4 is do a campaign game for you to accomplish together. I mean, I haven't done Pandemic Legacy, but it's one that's on my wish list. We've been doing Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. I've got, what is it called? Time Stories. And different things like that where you have different scenarios that you follow through. I find, first of all, these games are really difficult to get to the table when you have multiple people from different households. First of all, just scheduling wise, it's a nightmare. But I've really enjoyed that is something that is for me and Lee to do, and me and Lee to accomplish together and kind of go through the story and get to the next one and get to the next one. And that's worked great for us. In fact, I keep those games in a separate room. So when people come over, they don't even see that they're there. It's like, no, you can't touch these. These are mine and Lee's games, right? Yeah. And I enjoy that, like, we're discovering all of this together. Oh, and we just finished doing Exit the game, the Advent calendar, and we saved Christmas. So
you found the golden book? You mean?
I found the golden book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, going through stuff like that, I find it's just so satisfying, and I really enjoy that. So that's my number 4.
Awesome. So mine is a co-op as well, like what you said. Now, I was just talking before we started the episode, we talked a few minutes about how I'm so into these solving crime mystery games right now. And I think a great date night would be, and we have had these because my husband really likes doing these as well, is, you order dinner in and you just, like, you can eat at the table while you're doing this, and you spread out the cold case files, if that's what you're doing, and you just start digging through these files and reading them and then talking about it with each other and throwing ideas off each other, like, okay, what do you think about this person? Do you think that they would have motive for this or that? And it's so fun. Some of these cases you have to use an internet. Some of them have fake Facebook accounts that you have to go on to and like dig through them and the comments, and you're like, oh, she's having an affair here or whatever. But they're so fun, and we just get a kick out of them, me and John, and we've been doing them for a while now. I just love them. But I think would be one of my favorite date nights, would be order dinner in and just put it on the table, throw out the file, and just start digging through it, and we just enjoy it. But yeah, that's my number 4.
Sounds like beautiful quality time.
Yeah.
Oh, from
solving a crime.
Yeah.
Solving a crime
together.
It's so romantic.
Yeah. It's a team. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Stuff like that teaches people to share clues, to learn not to be such an alpha gamer. That's something that I have to watch. My wife's gotten really good at saying, "You're alpha gaming again. Please stop." I'm like, "Oh, yep, you're right. You're right." So my next one would actually go with know your intimacy levels. And that's a good strategy for relationships. It's also a good strategy for games night. There are games that are far more intimate than others.
Mm-hmm.
I know Melanie has the Fog of Love. And that one's definitely one that you kind of want to know your audience and who you're playing with. That one works around sort of a romantic comedy, and it's got a little bit of a role-playing element. And I would caution people very intensely. There are questions in there about whether your character would participate in sex in a public location like the woods. And depending on how you answer, that is going to affect the game. It's a very intimate, very close feeling game that will teach you a lot about relationships. But another intimate level for gaming is, of course, the RPG, which is basically the gaming equivalent of going all the way. You really need to know who you're working with and who you're connecting with on that one. I recently picked up a product called The Rescue of the Blackthorn Clan from Date Night Dungeons, which is actually a 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons adventure, quite a thick book, where you and your partner play 2 characters and you take turns dungeon mastering for each other.
Oh, cool.
So there's a high level of connection there and a high level of letting your guards down and being vulnerable and being creative together. I would suggest that for couples that have been together a while and are very comfortable with each other. So when you're picking a game, make sure that you pick something that your relationship is ready for. Does that sound fair?
Yeah,
that's really
interesting.
cool. Yeah, that's
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right, number 3. So this one is kind of put some, I guess, effort into the evening. And I'm putting in there, like, have nice snacks, not just chips. Right? Like, go out of your way to do like something, a special snack or a special meal or a special, just something that, would be, like you're actually going to turn the oven on or something, right? To kind of have something like, and I'm very much food motivated. So I like good tasting food. So do something like that, like homemade creme brulee before you play, or something like that would be, to me, just kind of dresses up the evening. That makes the whole thing even more special. So that's my number 3. Nice snacks. Okay. And I guess nice drinks, right? If you're gonna do like a fancy little cocktail or something.
Yeah, I agree. The theme snacks is where I tend to always put the most of my attention. I did a zombie head meatloaf.
Oh, I saw pictures. That looked gruesome.
For dead of winter, and I boarded all the windows shut, and I had Geiger counters and bullet casings everywhere. And yeah, my wife and I dove in on that one. It was a good time.
That's how you get into a game. Wow.
Right?
Yeah, total immersion. Quality time is off the charts.
Yeah. All right, Carla, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is going out for dinner this time, but then after dinner, going and doing an escape room together.
Oh,
So
neat.
this is another one there's a lot of them that you're able to do as 2 players. So that is another cooperative game, and you really need to communicate in there. You only have 60 minutes, so you're in there, you're under a time crunch, but you got to work together really well and try to figure out all these puzzles and usually get out somewhere. And sometimes you get into another room and then you got to get out of there. So me and my husband haven't tried it, just the 2 of us yet, but I would like to try that. And I know, my daughter and my son, they bought each other gifts as couples, like with their boyfriend and girlfriend, instead of buying gifts for each other. And my daughter bought for my son, like a dinner out and an escape room, because he loves them. So that's what him and his girlfriend did. And I think it's such a good gift too, because it's something you can, some people, like, you just want to go out sometimes, right? But you might not want to go to a lounge or a bar or whatever. You just kind of still want to do something the 2 of you can do. But I think this would be such a good idea. And again, you're working together, so you have to really communicate and try to, get out. So that's my number 3. Dinner out and escape room.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, Colin, what's your number 3?
I'd go with checking in at the end. And that goes for any date night, that goes for any bonding ritual. At the end of the entire evening, you have the opportunity to figure out what went well and what could be improved and build on it. Because connecting with a person, we always try to say, don't change me, or don't try to make me into something I'm not. But relationships are about change. They're about 2 people adapting to each other's needs. So at the end of your evening, at the end of your date night, at the end of your board game, sitting down and saying, okay, what part of that game went well and what part of that game didn't go well, it gives you a way better chance of picking the right game next time and setting the evening up to be even better over and over and over again. I had to learn to adapt to my wife's gaming style, which is almost exclusively cooperative. And in the beginning, I was picking a lot of the wrong games. And so learning what her preferences were made everything go way smoother and way better.
Yeah, that's something me and Lee are still kind of developing. And there'll be some games that, oh my God, I love it. Let's play this. And we'll play it and it falls flat. Like my most favorite game ever, Ashes Rise of the Phoenix Born. I love this. Spoiler alert, it's in my top 10. But I love it. We played it, me and Lee, and he's like, we need to stop now. I don't want to finish this. He really did. For him, it was too sandboxy. Like, it wasn't clear enough stuff to, these are the steps you do, and this is what you need to do. It's just like, well, you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this. And it's just like, no, it's not structured enough. So, yeah, it's something that we still are working on, kind of like getting a sense of, where we both at. So, yeah. That's a neat one. That makes sense, right? So,
totally does.
The experience.
Yeah, I never tend to, like you saying that, checking in at the end. We usually will just end a date,
move on.
It'll just end. But to talk about, like, how did you think it went? I never think to do that. Probably should do that. Because I just always think, either I had a fun time and then I know what I had, but you assume what you think they had, but that's a really good idea to just end it off and say, like, how do you think it went and whatnot.
See, I think that's one of the coolest parts because you can dive deep on that. Like, take what Melanie brought up there. You learned something about your husband?
My spouse.
Okay. Your spouse. You learned something about him. You learned what he likes and what he doesn't like. You learned what turns his crank and what doesn't, and you can figure out what it was and extrapolate outwards and understand him better in other parts of the relationship. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Carla likes quality time based around activities that are out of the house. Yeah, and the outdoors is a welcome addition.
Yeah. I do like staying home too. I just like spending time doing things rather than spending a bunch of money on flowers and stuff like that. But yeah, you nailed it.
Agreed, man. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, we're at number 2 now. My number 2 is take the game night out. Sometimes making, like, getting dressed up, doing your makeup, getting your hair done. Okay, that's more for a girl, I guess, but just putting the effort into we're going out somewhere. It makes the whole thing that much more exciting. Now, it can still definitely be a game night, and then go to a game cafe, right? Like D6 in Calgary is an amazing place. In Ols, they have the Pandora's Box, which is like a neat little coffee. Well, they have like all these teas, and I mean, like, they have 50 different kinds of teas that you can order, and then they have a big game library that you can use. Or even just go at a regular coffee shop and bring a little game that you can play there. We played Timeline this week, which is a small tin, like it'll fit in a pocket, and you just pull it out and you put a card down, and it has, like, we played the invention one, so it had an invention. It's like, okay, the toothbrush was invented in such a year, and then everybody has like 4 cards in front of them, and you're trying to, like, all right, well, the wheel was definitely invented before that, and then you flip it over, okay, you're good. So then you're trying to discard your thing, but it's just so interesting. Is that, okay, the first personal computer, I have no idea. So, like, it's so interesting. It's an interesting game that's really compact on any tiny table, really. So you could go to Tim's and play this there, or you could go somewhere a little bit more extravagant and, have an activity there. So sometimes, mostly if conversation is kind of, I don't know what to talk about. Well, having an activity that you do kind of takes the focus away from, okay, I need to talk to this person in front of me if it's like newer and it's still a little uncomfortable, or if it's gotten a little stale and it's like, I don't know what to talk about. So having something else to focus on, I think, is good as well. And then just, to take it out and go somewhere with it. So that's my number 2, take the game out.
Nice.
All right, Carla, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is, this one's a stay-at-home again, but it's an abstract strategy marathon. So this is definitely a head-to-head all day, but, well, maybe not all day. I could play all day. I could play all day and night, but maybe not everybody could do that. So even if it was a couple hours long, pull out a big stack of abstract strategy games. I have tons of them that I would love to just play in one day. Yeah, I love them. But just, those are all 2-player games that I'm talking about. And it's just, you're just playing back and forth. Maybe make a big pot of pasta and you can eat it throughout the marathon or whatever. And just play. Just keep playing back and forth. You could do best of 3 for each game and then just keep going, and hopefully, like, your communication is still good when you're still, because they're all take that games pretty much. Someone's gonna win and someone's gonna lose, but you got to learn to lose too, and you got to learn to lose graciously. I think that sometimes is it was interesting playing with different kids and different age groups, and it's like when I play with different people, I'm like, they have not learned how to lose. Like, right? Some will just like, yeah, take that. And some, like, you're just like, that's not how you lose. Or that's not how you win, sorry. But some people don't know how to win properly either. You gotta win graciously, you gotta lose graciously. But, yeah, so we've learned over time, and my kids as well, like, we're all very competitive, our family as a whole. My dad, my brother, all of us are very into sports, so that competitive nature, I get to take out in my games now too. But I have always learned as an athlete to, you got to know how to win and you got to know how to lose. And it's not, rubbing it at anyone's face, or it's, not pouting about the loss. So it's just a game. So you just have to learn it. I think it helps you learn how to win and how to lose. But yeah, that's my number 2, abstract strategy marathon.
And I like that, because abstract games, a lot of them are 2 players. And pretty much all of them have very simple rules. They're very simple and straightforward to play, but they're thinky, and they're like a lot of strategies involved with it. And yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. All right, Colin, what's your number 2?
I really liked where Carla went, so I'm going to just jump onto the edge of that one. Yeah, start out right off the bat again with communication. Find out if your partner wants to play cooperative or competitive, because not everybody's into the same stuff. And depending on where your relationship is, as a couples counselor, I tend to work with people who are either engaged or have been married or have been married for quite a long time. I don't get to work with a lot of couples that are just in that dating stage. So sometimes if there's damage in the relationship, stuff like take that and competition are really not going to bring the couple to where they need to be. They're not ready for that kind of stuff. So I would direct you at this point, or I direct most players to take a look at the Games and Couples show that Melanie puts on and the different coding systems that we use for looking at games. Those are a way for a partner to pick something that is going to be as healthy and supportive of the relationship that they have at that current moment as possible. So you're looking at things for conversation and connection potential. There are games where there is no chance to really talk. I already mentioned Gloomhaven. People shush me at Gloomhaven, and we shush each other because we want to finish in one night, right? It's just a long one, and it's crunchy, and it's beefy, and it's going to take up the whole evening. And that's great if that's what you want. Yeah. The other one is getting to know you. There are some games that will actually encourage people who are struggling to get to know one another to come out of their shell, take a few risks, talk about things they don't normally talk about. And with the Gottman practices, the Gottman research practices of helping couples find a way to get back together, or to find a way to get back on the same page, or to find a way to just polish up the relationship so they start getting what they want out of it. A lot of it is about building those open-ended questions, discussing who each other is, and learning each other's world. So the game can either support that, or if conversations aren't going well and things are a little on the tense side, you probably want to go with something that has less getting to know you, because it will trigger you. Fog of Love, which I've talked about already, that one has a really high potential of triggering couples. I know the first game that I played with my wife, my character, who was a Hispanic TV show host, had two secrets that he was keeping from his partner. And one of them was that I had a thing for older ladies. And the other one was that I had cheated on my wife's character with her sister.
Oh, boy.
And at one point in time, she played a card that I got drunk at a party, and she could reveal one of my secrets. And I had to hold them up. And I'm like, I hope you pick that I'm attracted to older women and not the one that I've cheated on you. So if there's any relationship with infidelity in it, or that is easily triggered, avoid stuff like that. It'll go kaboom in your face, man.
No kidding.
The other one is, quickly.
Yeah.
Last one is potential for hurt feelings and conflicts. Take that mechanics, things that pit people against each other. They have a tendency to trigger people. I have seen Gloomhaven trigger couples, including my wife and I, 3 different times. And the mechanic that gets people is the one where you can't communicate using numbers. Right. You can only descriptively talk. So you take a couple that is pretty good at communicating, or very good at communicating, and you throw something in their path, and the frustration rises very, very quickly. So be aware that there are things that are going to trigger your partner, which leads me to the last piece of this one. Have a safe word. Please, man, pick something so that people can abort. Like in this story there, what game was it you were playing, Melanie?
Ashes.
And you,
Rise of the Phoenix Board. It's so good.
Yeah, it might very well be, but your partner probably needed a safe word to say, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
so,
good.
yeah,
that's awesome.
Take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I know when...
Sorry, Carla.
Oh, no, sorry, I kind of interrupt you. I know when John, he'll usually say, okay, tomorrow let's play some games or whatever. So I go and I get this big pile ready. And then the next day, I kind of will be like, okay, where are we at right now? This one might not be good. Like you said, like, you know, if we've had maybe a lot of conflict, well, then we won't be playing the abstract strategy games. If we need to really cooperate together, then I'll pull that out. Or if we've been really communicating, cooperating well lately, then I can pull out the abstract strategy. So that's a really good good idea is to communicate and figure out what is the best to play, not just what you want to play. Think about, like you said, is this going to be good for us right now to play this type of game? You know, maybe we need something. Maybe we just need a light little card game to play, because sometimes, you know, and that's usually what I do. I'll pick out a card game. I'll pick out an abstract strategy. I'll pick out a co-op. I'll pick out one of everything. And then the next day I'm like, okay, this
What's
is what
my
we
flavor?
should do. So, yeah, but that's really good. Really good.
Oh,
Nice.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
your strategy of having like 3 options
Yeah.
nicely laid out and sort of prepared. It's a good idea.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, and now we're at number 1. So, for my number 1, I've put just us. And that's something I had to really learn, because I'm very social. Like, I'm very social. Pandemic was harsh for me. But so, I would have a game night almost all the time. I would have a bunch of people over and have a game night. But to kind of really keep that gaming evening intimate and make a point of having it just the 2 of us for a game night. Don't invite a bunch of friends. Don't have the kids playing along, which I have teenagers. It's not very hard. It's hard to get them to play. But to me, it's like, and I had a hard time with that, because I mean, I think you should have family game nights. I think you should totally involve your children in having kids play and kind of have that experience as well. And is that good quality time? Yes. And is that still quality time with your spouse? Yes, in my opinion it is. But, and that was where it was like, yes, that's still good quality time, but it's not intimate quality time. And that's where Lee kind of had to really make a point of like opening my eyes on this, is like, yes, but it's not us time. And having designated special us time and having designated special us game nights kind of was something for us was really important, and that I really had to learn to do, because like I said, I'm so social. I would just like, oh, well, let's invite everybody in and let's have all these snacks and let's and let's make a big deal out of this. It is just like, and it'd be a full house, but then we lose that intimacy. So my number 1 for how to make a game night a date night is keep it to just us.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Can I throw a piece in there on there, Melanie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree, and I would actually throw a cautionary tale on top of this one. So what often happens is, while we have children in the house, we focus on the children, and we focus and we fixate and we focus and we fixate, and then the kids move out and we have to spend time together. But we don't know how to do that.
Yes.
We haven't built those skills. We haven't built any of the rituals of connection. We're basically still staring at more or less an alien creature at that point that we parented a bunch of people with, and they've left. So remember, you have to be building your skills for all the different stages of life. And that is one of the things I like about Fog of Love. Fog of Love really highlights for the player, it's more like a relationship simulator that you participate in, that there are different stages in your relationship. And in the beginning, it's all fun and games. Then it becomes sort of fun with some, tough things you have to deal with. And then it becomes tough decisions and tough things you have to deal with. And there's not as many opportunities to play those fun cards. So whatever you've built by then, that's what you get stuck with.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really got to play my game.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's what I'm doing for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. It does sound like a really neat game. I was so excited to buy it, but oh my God, I've got so many games to play.
Yeah. You guys should play it on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's really
with
good.
a romantic soundtrack.
There you go.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yes, we didn't talk about music. You gotta put some music on too. You're right.
Yeah, build the whole ambiance, right?
Yeah.
Sounds
Awesome.
great. So Carla, what is your number 1?
All right, my number 1 is a bit similar to yours, where you get dressed up, you get to go out, and you go to a dinner theater murder mystery.
Oh, those are cool.
They used to do these. I believe they still do. I think in Calgary and Edmonton, you can do, like, it's a dinner theater So you're eating while it's like a play that goes on, but you're kind of solving it, but it just plays out, and then you get to basically sit there and watch it. But it's they're usually pretty comical too. They have some comedy in them, and it's just neat. I'm pretty sure you can get a table for 2. I know there's large groups that you can go, but I think you can also just do like a date night and be able to have like a nice intimate table for just the 2 of you to do. But that's one thing. We did that early on in our marriage with groups or with other couples, but it would be neat just to do the 2 of us, just to head out and experience that again. I think it would be neat. And that's my number 1. Dinner theater murder mystery.
That's cool. I did one once at Pasu Farm, which is out of Carstairs. And it's like a sheep farm, or I think it's sheep, maybe llamas. Like they had like a gift area, like a gift shop area that had all these products too. But yeah, and you had like this big meal, and then they played out the mystery, and then they kind of stopped, and you had to guess who you thought the murderer was and why. And then it was so much fun. It was so cool. I love that idea.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if you do have to solve it, but that's...
Yeah, there might be a different one. I know with this one, they stopped, and you could be like funny. And I was like, yeah, but you forgot the first murder victim. That was the sheep. You know, it was neat. So then they would pick like the funniest answer, and then who had it right, and like it was such a fun evening.
Cool, that's awesome.
Nice. All right, Colin, what's your number 1?
Number 1 is probably the simplest one of all, and it's to not forget what the actual victory condition of the night is, and that's to have fun together. Lots of games, and I love that when they have a secret victory condition where you can gain extra points or a secret extra objective.
Yeah.
Pick one for the night. Pick something like make sure that we both have a good night, or make him or her laugh as many times as I possibly can, or show her that I can listen for longer than 2 or 3 minutes before I bury my nose in my phone again. Like, there's lots of wonderful things that you can bring to the night, but don't try to win the game, man. Try to win the evening.
Nice. Yeah, no, I love that. It's so easy to get sidetracked and focused, what's the whole purpose of doing this, right? It's not to crush them.
Yeah, exactly. To spend time and have fun along the journey, right?
Yeah. Wonderful.
And build something.
Yeah.
Bonding rituals are built, connections are built. Couples that complain we have nothing in common, often the struggle is that they didn't build anything in common.
No, nice.
And they're frustrated that nothing got assembled.
Yeah. Oh, that's a neat way of saying that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, you know what, Colin? I got to say, I really enjoyed having your point of view on all of this, and then the way that you see things, and kind of got a little bit more in depth into all of the points. Is like it was so enlightening. Honestly, I really enjoyed that. I'm sure Carla did as well.
Oh yeah,
Thanks,
I feel like I just got a whole 5 sessions in here of, some marriage counseling that I can take back. I'm taking notes. I don't know if you see me writing as we're talking.
I'm glad.
As soon as you're talking, I'm like, oh yeah.
You're like, oh my God, my marriage is going to be so good now.
Yeah. I'm going to make John listen to this too, and then we'll listen to it together. I already told my daughter, I'm like, you got to listen to this one for sure, because it's going to have some good advice on here.
Hey, the knowledge of what brings the relationship together is valuable. There's no doubt about that, but it's the practice that makes it perfect. And if you don't practice with your partner, you won't develop those skills. This is a little on the grim side, and I apologize if I put anyone off with this one. We only have so much brain plasticity, which means our brains and our minds can only change for so long, and then we become very rigid. The phrase, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. At some point in time, my relationship is going to be made up of the skills and the practices and the bonding rituals that we built. And there's not going to be a lot of extra new pieces. We can refine what we have, but it's going to be very hard to build something new. So practice regularly and as often as you possibly can. And do it on purpose. Don't do it by accident. Do it because you're trying to build something.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Yeah. I know when you talked about the people that the kids are out and now what do you have left? I'm in that stage of life almost. My kids, one of my daughters has moved away and my son is still here, but he's rarely here kind of thing. So we are almost empty nesters. And for a while it was almost like oh, what do we do now? Like, I don't have kids to take care of. Like, you know, I think it's so important throughout all the stages, little kids, you know, elementary kids, middle school kids, keep dating, keep going out on dates. Because, I mean, we didn't do that at some of those stages. And now we're kind of relearning and, you know, having to start over, not start over, but do you know what I mean? We have to kind of go back and
catch up. Play catch up.
Yes, that's exactly what we need to do. So all you young couples out there or middle-aged couples, keep it going, keep the dates going, because the kids you're busy with those kids, but I mean, you still have to have the two of you. You still have to keep that together. I know I was always reading books too along the way where, you know, that's the most important relationship, because without that, I mean, how can you make the family work, right? And I mean, your job is so important because you're not just helping couples, you're helping families too, because the couples are the center of the family. And so, you know, you have a very important job, and I highly respect what you do. It's so cool.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. And I love that you've put in games into like
right? That was perfect.
The combination. I'm like, it's so awesome, because I know, like with Mel, like you, when you ended a relationship, games helped you through it. But to help couples through it with the games is just the coolest thing ever. And I think it's so neat, because there's so many different things you can learn from games, like you've said. And I just think that's so awesome. So this was awesome to have you on today.
It's neat. Like a lot of the points that we brought up and a lot of the aspect behind the points that we brought up, I see that I wasn't doing that, or we weren't doing that in my first marriage. We did totally get focused on the children. I was traveling a lot for work. So we kind of just created lives apart from each other. And so when things got a little rough, it didn't survive, right? So now I'm in a newer relationship. So, you know, like Carla, you're saying, like, you're empty nesters, you're learning, like, I'm still in the beginning stages, learning to be like, okay, how do we make sure this one works, right? But I'm into it a lot more conscientious, a lot more aware, and that's great. And then it's great to see, like, because I mean, board games is a big part of my life, because it was such a big part of my recovery after my divorce. I mean, I was married for 18 years and unexpectedly it's over. That's not easy, you know? So I needed, so I needed an escape. I needed something that was like, you know, for 3 to 4 hours, all of a sudden my focus wasn't on all of the mess that was going on. My focus was on being king of Tokyo, you know? So it was my escape, and because I concentrated on that and I used that as a crutch so much, it became a big part of my life. I remember when I met Lee for the first time and I showed him my board game collection, which was over like 200 by then. And I was like, okay, don't judge me. You know, it's like I show him my collection and he's looking at a few piles on the floor because had run out of space, and he's looking around and he's like, you know, you could fit more shelves in here.
Oh, that's a keeper.
Right? Yeah. Done. Okay, this is the one, you know, but and Lee does not by any extension like have the gaming stamina that I have. Because, I mean, let's be honest, not a lot of people do. And I don't expect him to, but just the fact that there's that respect there, that's great. And that it's a part of our relationship. It's not our whole relationship, because it can't be, because he's not me. But it is a part of our relationship, and it's a positive part of our relationship. So that's been great. And it's been neat to get the background and the aspect of it in this episode. This is, you know what, I'm gonna say, this so far is like my favorite episode ever.
Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah,
I've had a lot of fun. I'm a lot less nervous now than I was when we started.
Yeah, Colin's been texting me all day saying, oh my God, I'm really nervous about this. I would much rather deal with a crisis of some sort. Oh, that's funny. All right. So now be sure to join us on our Discord. We have a Discord channel now. We'll put the link in the notes. If you have any questions for Colin, you know what? Go ahead and put them on there if you want. And then we'll pass them on to Colin, or Colin will make sure that you join our Discord as well. So if you have any questions like that, just about what we discussed a little bit now, it'd be really interesting to kind of see what you guys, or if you have any comments, definitely go put that on there. Carla, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at Boardgame Specialist, all one word, and I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Boardgame Fanatics.
Great. And Colin, if anybody wants to be able to reach out to you, or are seeing the services that you're doing as something that they see might benefit them, how can they reach you?
They can go through the website, auschratcounseling.ca. I offer online counseling sessions for couples. It's convenient because you don't have to be in the same place. It fits nicely into your day. There's not a lot of setup, and you don't need a babysitter. So nice. We can fit a lot of things in. Yeah, auschratcounseling.ca. And
we'll make sure to put those in our notes as well. And I can be found on Instagram at Mel's_boardgame_room. My YouTube channel is Mel's Board Game Room, and my Facebook page is Mel's Board Game Room. So be sure to also to check on the YouTube channel the game night, date night that I've been doing in collaboration with Collins. And then we kind of talk more into those kind of ways to, I guess, what's the 3 ratings for the games that Colin had talked about in this episode, and kind of talk about different games and how they would be rated in those categories.
Yeah, there's some really good suggestions on there. I've looked at them. They're awesome. So
wonderful.
Definitely tune into those.
Colin, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a blast.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And a safe journey, guys, and have a great night.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, and stay tuned for next week. But like we always say, thanks for listening, and bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.